Okay, so I'm gonna give you a quick showcase and a little tutorial how to set up my IED/mine script. This is a simple way to avoid using triggers and the like for setting up the Arma IEDs, and also gives you a more controlled and slightly better performance out of the mines, and you'll get to customize how big of an explosion each charge will actually produce. So first thing, it's going to be a small mine there. You have a medium mine, small explosion, medium explosion, large explosion, and then you have a delayed version. The two furthest ones, they are, first one is just a grenade, and the last one there over there is a mini grenade. It's going to be a delayed explosion. So yes, when you get in range of these, it's gonna explode. There you go. So that was the small explosion. Let's take a look at the medium. Somewhat bigger. And then we have the large one right here, which is quite big. No one is gonna survive that one. And these, as I said, was the grenade ones. They are slightly delayed. If you would imagine a scenario when you step into a building and there's a string that you trip, which then pulls the pin of the grenade. So that's more or less the theory of them. So walking up to this one, we should be able to hear the grenade throw sound effect. If you heard it, and it's gonna delay a few seconds and then it's gonna go off. So tripping one of these, you're gonna have the opportunity to run away if you do notice it, which is, well, I suppose it can be quite fun after you run into a building and you hear that. It's like, oh no no no. And of course the mini grenade, same sound effect, and then it produces a small explosion. Okay, cool. And so that's the how you can, or rather that's the explosions. Let's just restart. Alright then, so we're back. It's the same place here, but now it is set up so that if I move up to it and I go prone and just crawl up to it, it's not gonna explode. And if I would have had a toolkit, then I would have been able to defuse that one. For whatever reason, I don't have one. But yeah, so it's, you can set the stances so that if you're prone or crouching, it won't explode. If I would get up now, it did explode. So yeah, so you can set that up. Also, you can fire at the mines and they will explode. In the settings file that follows the script, you can select how big of an explosion it should be. Currently it is just set as a small explosion. Come on, there you go. And the same goes for the grenades. So that's also a nice little feature. That's all there is to showcase really. Next I'm gonna go into how to actually put it into a mission and use the actual script. So let's jump into the editor, and the first thing you're going to do is download the scripts from the description down below. Move into your map. I recommend you use a scripts folder, and you place the Neku Mines folder in here, and then you have the two files. So this is the main script. You don't usually need to modify this at all. You can just read the documentation here on what all the parameters are and how to use it. And there's also the settings file where you can set the general settings of the mines and IEDs. So just looking at this, you have something called mine class here. It's the class, the visual model of the IED that is spawned on this position. That's a vanilla Arma IED, There is also another one, but I do not have it in there by default. If you're using cup, the cup add-on, then there's a preset here that includes all the cup IDs as well, and then it will randomly select one of these class names when it's spawning the mine and or ID. Next, you have the sensitivity for units, foot soldiers. So it's going to choose that, it's going to randomly select 2.5 meters sensitivity or 3 meters sensitivity. It's not going to pick anything in between, it's just going to pick either that one or that one. If you want more, you can just type that. Now it might pick 4 meters, now it might as well pick 7 meters. Then you have the same thing, but for vehicles. By default, 7 or 8 or 9 meters sensitivity. Frequency, these are more related to performance. When there is a player within 300 meters, then it will scan every 0.5 seconds if you're inside it, inside the sensitivity of the ID. If there are no players within 300 meters, it's gonna scan every 5 seconds for if there are any players within 300 meters at all. This goes for both vehicles and not, so this is all performance related. Don't really need to change this. The health of the mine, sorry. Let's see here. Between 0.01 to 0.8 is what I recommend, otherwise you might destroy it and it will do the default explosion rather than the one you can decide down here. So the lower the value, the less health it has, the higher the value, the more health it has. So typing 0.8 will mean it can take several more shots. Unfortunately, one bullet does more damage than a grenade on top of it, so grenades are not very trustworthy when setting off these explosives, which is unfortunate, kind of sad. Here you have safe stances. So as I showed you, if you go prone, the ID did not trigger. If I remove this, then you cannot go prone and crawl over it, then it will actually explode. If you type crouch, then you can be in a crouch stance and move all over it without it exploding. But if you would go prone or stand up, then it would explode. Down here you have the explosives. So the small explosive is a 20mm HE round. Medium is a 40mm HE round. The large one is an RPG shell, or not shell, sorry, RPG round from the RPG 32. And these things, you can either put a projectile or a mine as a class name here. You can find class names on the link up here. If you want to change the explosives in any way. But yeah, you can have it as either a projectile or a mine. And then you have the grenade options. If you have any fancier grenades than default Arma, then you have you can change this to another grenade. And then you have the mini grenade. They work the same way more or less. It's just the size of the explosion. But these two needs to be a grenade, otherwise the script is going to be somewhat confused. And it might not behave correctly. So grenade and mini grenade variables need to be a grenade of some sort. Self-destruct, so this is the 20mm HE round. When you shoot it and destroy it by lowering its health to less than 0.2, or sorry, when you cause it more than 20% damage, then it's gonna self-destruct and perform a 20mm explosive. And down here you have random mines. So here we have small, small, small. So 3 out of 6 would be a small mine, or this is all chance, of course. It's randomly selected but generally it would be 3 out of 6 mines would be small ones, 2 out of 6 would be medium, and 1 out of 6 would be a large one. You can just add on to this, comma, quotation, large, quotation. There you have now increased the chances of a large mine being selected if you would have it select the size of the explosion by random for any mine or some specific mine. So that's the settings file, and let's go into the actual mine script and how to use it. If you are used to scripting in Arma more or less, or at least using scripts, you might just need this one and just read on this a little bit. So this is the first one. It's the object name. So either you can have the name of a mine if you have a specific name for it, or if you just use this, which it says up here, for if you're placing it in the init line of the actual object. So what you can do here is you can put in a specific name for the mine and spawn it in later in the mission. It will save performance somewhat, not too much though. If you have it in a trigger, the trigger might as well cause more, it might take more performance than actually having the mine in place. So if it would be run later in the mission, you might as well, you're gonna have to have it in a script and call it rather than in a trigger. Next is the type. You can type in small, medium, large, grenade, mini grenade, and random. That showed you the different, or rather the default settings for random mines. Mine class, it's optional. It will overwrite and force this specific mine to look in have the specific class name or visual class name. So the model of the IED will be of a specific, it will look in, yeah, it will mimic that object. It will look like that object. And also you have this last one, sensitivity foot soldier, sensitivity vehicle. It's in one array. Yeah, simply put, it's the sensitivity in meters if you want to overwrite the default settings. So if I would type 5 there, and I would type 10 there, it would overwrite these settings that are right here. It would overwrite these two. So there are also some how-to. Remember, do not use an object from the mines category. I would recommend the empty object helpers arrow red. So I'll tell you why as well while I'm on it. If you would select something from the mines category, Arma behaves weird. It behaves in weird ways, mysterious ways. If you place an actual mine or an object from the mine category, it will not trigger the script. It won't run the init line at all, which is extremely frustrating. So pick anything else and it will replace that object for the mine itself. So for example, let's copy that arrow, or rather let's do it the proper way. Units, let's go empty objects helpers arrow large red is what I usually use. It works well to me in my opinion. And then we place the code in here. So this object, if I would give this a name like mine1 and type mine1 there, then it would run this mine, but you would want this code somewhere else, otherwise it makes no sense. So you might as well just type this and have it nameless. You can type the explosive, size of the explosive, which was small, medium, large, grenade or mini grenade. So we'll just go for, let's go for a large one. Mine class name, if you want to overwrite the default one, I don't really do that. I don't really want to do that, so I can just type nil for the default value. And sensitivity foot soldier, sensitivity vehicle. If I want to make it, yeah, why not? Let's make it very. Let's not make it very sensitive. There we go. So now it's going to be, this object will turn into a large ID, or sorry, it will turn into an ID, and the explosive size will be large. Class name nil, it will use default class name, and it is gonna explode if a person is within 0.5 meters or a vehicle is within 2 meters. Okay. Oh, sorry. I always forget this part. You always need to start this code with null, or, well, you can have anything in here, but I recommend null because that would be universal. There you go. Oh, sorry. There, let's save it, and let's preview. And for whatever reason, the squad leader always gets the radio backpack because I'm still running task force radio. So let's jump over to this guy. And you are gonna follow me. That's somewhat annoying. Anyhow, this is the arrow that I placed. It has been replaced with an IED.
Spotted a charge.
And I can now walk up to it so that I'm within 0.5 meters of it without it actually exploding. So I should be able to actually reach it and deactivate it. So now it's deactivated. No need to be worried. Just a placed IED now. If I would have shot it, if you remember, it's a large IED. So shooting it should result in a small explosion anyhow. Yeah, small explosion. And if I do run over it, it's gonna explode. Simple as that. Let's just speed things up, slow down, and let's see. Maybe 0.5 meters is a bit too close. Ah, there we go. Yeah, 0.5 meters, you can actually run across it with the 0.5 second interval that it scans for targets, or sorry, for players in the vicinity. So yeah, 0.5 meters is a bit too tight. If you're running default Arma and have to get really close to disarm them, I recommend you have so that you can go pro and then crawl up to them without them actually setting off. Otherwise, this is going to be you might be able to run across them, unless that's what you want, of course. So that's all I have to say. Well, something else I can say. If you don't want to change anything, if you don't want to overwrite any of those settings, you can just do that. So this object, large explosion, nothing else needs to be changed. You can just, it will run the default settings from your settings file, and you can just run across it. Now this one should definitely explode when I'm running across it because it has a bigger sensitivity. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, apparently people survived. Well, this guy is injured quite badly, legs, arms, and so is that one. The guy next to me, he's also an invulnerable guy. Number 3 here is also invulnerable, so that's why he's not injured. So yeah, that's all there's to it. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have some fun with it.